No. In fact, the first $350,000 were under the law were released already. The other $350 billion, I'm sorry, will have to get congressional authorization. There was a little problem that there was a question that came out as to what the banks are doing exactly with them. Before any more money is released, we are going to be talking about that. That's one of the first things we're going to talk about once we go back to Washington. We of course got the economic stimulus package, which means billions of dollars for infrastructure. We've been working with the local communities to make sure that we get a piece of the pie as those billions of dollars are put for infrastructure. So we got a lot of work to do once we head back in January. We get sworn in January the 6th and get started at that time.
Yeah, you mentioned the money, how it's being spent. You know, now banks don't really give us like good answers about where the money's going. Will Congress investigate that?
Without a doubt. The Financial Services Committee, Barney Frank is going to get into it because first of all, we want to see that money not held, but we need that money released as soon as possible. That was the purpose of this, was to release money. So we're going to definitely investigate that, and certainly we're going to be talking about also before we release anything, we got to get commitments. It was done, as you know, quickly, but now that we had a little time and we see what's happening, there's going to be a lot of work before we release any more money.
Then, like the more time that passes and that money is not released, to bail out people, do you think the markets will suffer and you'll see the economy?
Well, and that's the balance we have to find. We have to find a balance between not saying we'll just release the money and not knowing the intended consequence. But at the same time, we have to do this quickly, but we have to safeguard our money to make sure that the money goes into to the hands of the consumers, so we can get the economy. So we got to do this quickly, but we got to do it with a lot of precaution.
Closer to home, we've been hearing a lot of reports in like the last couple of weeks about ammunition being bought in border communities, making their way across the border, and they're used by Gulf cartels and all this stuff. What can Congress or Homeland Security do about maybe limiting or banning the sale of high-powered ammunition? Right,
and one of the things that I was working on in one of the bills, as you know, everything got put in a continuing resolution, was to hire more people, the ATF, to work with them to make sure they have sufficient officers to stop the guns from coming out. We have a situation that you've got the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, but at the same time, how they've been taken over there is something that we can control to a pretty good much, but it takes more personnel, more enforcement. We have identified the problem because it's been going on for years, but we now have identified the problem. Now we need to make sure we put the resources, and we started some of that already. We're working with Mexico where we identify the numbers when there's a firearm that's caught over there in the commission of crime. They're working with us on computers to make sure that we link this so we know what stores are they coming from, what cities they're coming from. As you know, Texas is the #1 state that's allowing this firearms going over there. So we identify it. We need to make sure we put a stop on this. Otherwise, it's all a circle. They'll come back to us one way or the other through the drug dealers organizations.
Alrighty.